The sky was black and was getting dark. The fog came and messed up the tracks on the main line. James the Red Engine is returning home after his long journey to Corvan's Gate. He was tired and he needed a long rest. It was a long mainline track to get home. James was enjoying himself. The fog hits the tracks and the lamp on him so he would see things at the night. James paused for a moment and remembered what Edwin knew, or he knew it. He told him about the fog tonight. When he was out to leave the shed, but James didn't care and just left for his goods. James knew that he had to be careful on the fog in front of him. As he continued his journey, his wheels ran over something.
Huh? With those points?
But James didn't realize that he swerved to the left, but then that he didn't see the sign saying Roof's Castle. James rolled down to Roof's Castle station, where one had been at Kronk Station. He sees some trucks and the coaches all around the station.
Oh, great. Another set of points. Honestly, why could they say that track leads to other station? Man, I wish the signalman could ask some question.
No one came from his mouth. He stopped and wondered what caused. Suddenly, there was a cough that sounded before. The answer from James was the roar and race side towards the track itself. Then, as James was about to move, he froze. What he had was a flashlight. Couldn't it be real? There, right in the fog, was in front of it, was a faded-look scrap diesel. It was faceless and covered in rust. But suddenly, something big roared towards the track again. James was shocked and sees two diesels in the night. And that's what hit him. They were eyes appearing out of the remaining of one of the diesels.
Join us for the dead.
James jumped as his face was of a pair of diesels. Where one had been and before, it was rolling towards James. Its eyes narrowed, popped lazily.
Ooh! Driver, get us out of here!
Shouted James, and he raced away from the station as one of Diesel's friends vanished into the night. Later, when it was dark, when Thomas just finished his train for the day and back down to the shed with Edward, he felt nervous. Seeing him was so quiet and wanted to go to sleep.
What's the matter, Edward?
Thomas asked when he backed down in the shed.
Is there something you want to tell me?
No. I'm just worried about James. I mean, he did take the slow goods after. He never returned because he was at Corvan's Gate and it was far away from us. Oh, James came back so far.
Just then, as the red engine puffed quickly towards the turntable, James had ran out of breath. Edward and Thomas were surprised to see him ran out of his breath. They had never seen James like this before, as they wanted to be quick.
James? Are you all right? It looks like you're in a rush or something.
James said nothing and puffed slowly to the turntable, without Edward's words. James backed down in the shed and closed his eyes for a sec.
Let me guess. Having to see the ghostly shape of engines?
James looked at the shed. The voice known as Percy. He was silent as made his friends confused.
Yes, I saw some two rusty diesel right in front of me, and it was coming towards me, like they were going to attack me. For God's sake, I just wanted to able to stay away from those that weren't real.
Was it the two diesels that looked like Harry and Bert, or just the other two diesels?
Percy asked. The engines thought Percy knows something about the two diesels from the future. It seems they had forgotten, and some, except for Thomas. But he didn't believe Percy's ghost story. But it's not for the mood of Percy about Diesel's story.
Really, Percy? Do you think that you believe in the ghost diesels coming you too? I have never had such with diesel ever.
It's not ridiculous diesel, Thomas. You wouldn't understand these diesels for a long time. One diesel was green and the other diesel was purple. But you know how the two diesels got scrapped? From what the Ironworks twins said, they tried to scrap Stepney. Harry and Bert said that a big diesel had been put in by two diesel shunters. One was painted green and one was painted purple, and their names done up on their sides with white letters. Just then Harry and Bert showed the twins the shed. So they continued to chat about anything and anything. The twins started to work. And as for Diesel 10, had been left the tracks and placed in a contact foundation. The twins started to install the big diesel.
Well, what happened next?
Asked Thomas disturbing.
Then suddenly there was a cough and a splutter, and then Egan started the claw on his wrist, snapped up, spinning loudly for a moment before swiping the two diesels and knocking them over their side. Then as he grunted his teeth before bowing out loudly for the whole Smelters yard to hear. All of a sudden, it was silent. Just silent. Harry and Bert thought the twins had been killed by Diesel 10. Whatever they do, just stand there and watch. Harry and Bert carried the two diesels into the large smelters. Then the workmen started to scrap the twins, and as for the Ironwork twins, didn't say a word again.
Everyone at the sheds were desperately disturbed by Percy's story, except for Thomas.
That was the stupidest story I ever heard, James. What you saw was just diesel. I assume those diesels look like Harry and Bert. There's no way that everyone could see a ghostly friendly diesel.
Thomas just grumbled.
Thomas, I'm serious. I heard the workers about the ghostly diesels in the smelter's yard. They could have vanished somewhere.
Well, Percy, it all just bunch of rubbish. There's no way they are such ghostly friendly to diesel shunters.
Thomas said crossly before he backed down the shed. Thomas wasn't in the mood to listen to Percy's story. He closed his eyes and drifted to sleep. The next day of work, the engines reacted to Percy's story and how two diesels were scrapped. But Thomas didn't care and left Tidmouth Station. He was on a branch line, still talking about Percy's death of two diesel story, but he didn't mention it and just continued working. Later that evening, Thomas backed down to the shed next to Henry and Gordon. Henry was pale.
Henry, what's the matter?
Thomas asked.
Percy told me and Gordon about the two pieces have been scrapped, but Gordon said it was all just a prank, and he didn't care. But I told him it was all too real.
Look, Henry, what Percy? Me was the story was just a prank? It's not like the two ghostly friend diesels are going to put you down.
Just as the workmen arrived,
We had a load of scrap metals on the train at the harbor, heading to the Ironworks due tonight. Shall each one of you take the train tonight?
I will take the train sir.
Well, the job is yours. Better get ready for tonight. You need plenty of cold and water for the journey.
And so, the workman had left Thomas when he was steamed up.
Watch a late, Henry. You will know when there's no such thing as ghostly diesels.
Thomas said. When he already left the sheds, Henry was still worrying what was going to happen to Thomas. But he said it was just only pretend ghostly diesels. It was never crossed Henry's mind of his change. Maybe Thomas will tell the truth. The fog had gone thicker and hits the trucks on the ground. Thomas was carrying the train to the Smelters yard. He was alone in the dark along with his crew tonight.
Silly Henry. Try to be frightened by those ghostly diesels. I see. Maybe it was just area bird that was making a fool jokes.
Said Thomas crossly. As he came to the stop of the station, his crew could see the lights from the windows. Maybe someone might help to get the gates open. His crew left to find the workman that helped to get the gates open. Thomas was all alone, but not for long. A large diesel went roaring past him. Thomas has never seen an unusual diesel before.
Huh? That's strange. But that we bird used to work there for all those years. But why are mainline diesels there anyway?
Just then, Thomas's crew returned and climbed onto his cab.
Alright, Thomas. The workman has already opened the gate. You should get going by now,
said the driver, and they headed to the Ironworks. The air looked heated, and the smoke glowing thicker, and the shadows grew dancing in the air. Thomas rolled inside into the Smelters, looking for his train to park somewhere else, until he heard a bang commotion from the door. Now Thomas was stuck inside. He didn't know what to do.
Bust my buffers!
Thomas said.
Now we're stuck. How you were supposed to go home now?
I don't know.
We'll just have to ask the foreman to help the door open back again.
His crew went to find a woman. Thomas was all alone now. He had no way out. Just standing there waiting for his crew to return.
I don't want to stay here and really down. I want to play on my one shed.
Thomas was thinking so hard, he was interrupted by an engine sound. Thomas looked around severely his surroundings, but he couldn't see anyone. Thomas was confused. He had made a wish of the scene.
Hello?
He called.
Is there an engine to help?
Thomas questioned, but there was no one there. But all he could do is just do nothing. Just the calling out. All of a sudden, he hit an engine again. Thomas cut out of a diesel engine in the red air.
Okay. However, nice joke, but it's not you two. That's it. Enough feeling for once. Off you tricked area bird.
Suddenly, the light had flickered, and just when the edge away for Thomas's buffers,
Send us a nurses.
He yelled.
Get away.
but when Thomas opened his one eye, he froze what he had said at the end of the line. There in front of him were two diesel shunters. It was faceless, covered in rust, and with their white leather and have the word of rip and scrap. Thomas stared at them. It looked like exactly like Aryan Birds and Diesel. But what Percy says that one Diesel was purple and the other green. Then he wanted to call out, but then it closed it. Thomas noticed that he has forgotten something of what Percy had said.
I heard the workers about the ghostly diesels in the smelter's yard. They could have vanished somewhere.
Thomas wasn't just confused, but now he was scared. Percy was telling the truth. If the diesels has vanished somewhere in the mist, then they seemed to pair of the inside of the smelters. Then the diesels rolled towards him. Thomas could see the smokebox doors was light. There was an eyes peering out from the twizzles remaining of the diesels. Suddenly, Thomas began to hear the screaming from where the diesels, and he noticed from the diesels screaming or crying for help. Thomas was surprised. He had had enough. He reversed back to the doors was closed. Thomas screaming and whistled for help in the smelters.
No, help! Someone help! Help!
Thomas?
Thomas, wake up!
Thomas looked and stared. He looked at the diesels are gone and the doors from the smelters. His crew came back.
Come on, boy. Let's go home.
Thomas backed down to the smelters and looked pale about what he saw. Later on, Percy and Toby were resting at Tidmouth Station when they saw Thomas backing down in the sheds.
Oh, hey, Thomas. I heard about your journey. How was it?
Toby froze. He was expecting if Thomas's face went pale. Toby noticed it was about Thomas that he saw something during the night.
Thomas? What's the matter? Are you alright?
Toby asked. Before Thomas could say anything, he looked at Toby so worried, and so as Toby was worried, so he took a deep breath and tell him everything.
Well, the doors really was closed, and here are diesel engines, but they weren't two of them. They weren't in full for me.
2 diesels? At the smelters?
Toby questioned.
You did see them, didn't you?
Thomas and Toby were silent, and that person knew about what Thomas said.
Yes, I did. We're right about it, but I was wrong.
Well, I did warn you about it, but you didn't want to listen to me. So I hope you learned the truth about 2 diesels.
Percy said as suddenly when Thomas backed down, Percy and Toby had been asleep. But Thomas stayed awake. However, still shaken over what happened at the smelters, Thomas has learned the truth. The 2 diesels had vanished from the other night. He knew he had to tell the engines the next day. Well, no one noticed about the 2 diesels had vanished somewhere in the mist. Don't you?